Hi, and a very warm welcome to today's SME Club event. For those of you who've not met me before, I'm Jen Quinn, Growth Manager at Virgin Money Manchester, and we are delighted to be sponsors of today's event. Our key focus at the moment is to ensure that our customers are supported. Information on the support offers can be found on our website, and we'll be sharing that link with you following today's event. Please do feel free to get in touch with me or any of the team if there's anything else that we can help you with. We'd love to hear how you found today's event. Please tag us in your social media posts. That's at Virgin Money on all social platforms. Business coaching and mentoring for the self-employed in Greater Manchester is today's topic. So for now, I'll hand over to Yvonne Sampson from EnterprisingYou and look forward to catching up with you at our next event.
That's great, Jen. Thanks very much. Okay, my name's Yvonne Sampson, and we've also got Phil Starr on, who's our business coach, and I'm the mentoring advisor. And I'd like to thank Pro Manchester for inviting us to actually come along today to do this presentation. We've been asked to really talk about the difference between a business coach and a mentor. So before we start, we've just got a couple of little ground rules. So this is quite new to both me and Phil. It's a bit of a double act. We're actually calling ourselves either Ant and Dec or the two Ronnies. So hopefully you can relate to either. So forgive us if it doesn't go as smoothly as we'd like it to. So sit back and relax. And we're going to try and make it interactive. We need your attention for about 45 minutes. If that's okay. I know it's booked in for about an hour, so it could go on for an hour, but we're banking on around about 45 minutes with regards to the actual presentation. So let's hope you've all got a drink, and I'm sure some of you can recognise some of those books in your bookcase. If not, you might want to get some of them. All heavy reading, as you can see. And really, we're not here to give you a lecture on mentoring and coaching. We're here to try and make it real for you. And as I said, if you've got any questions, please just keep asking along so we can answer them. Let's make it as interactive as possible. As you can imagine, with lockdown, this has become our norm. And in some ways, sometimes we're all a bit webinared and exhausted with it all. So we want to make this as interactive as we can to keep everybody's attention. So what we're going to do today on the presentation is we want to share the difference between a mentor and a coach. When we feel you could possibly look to get a mentor or a coach, and hopefully through the interaction we would like to be aware of your own experiences of mentoring and coaching. We've got a few case studies from our actual programme to share with you, so we want to make it real. And then we'll give you a short overview of the EnterprisingYou project that both Phil and I work on. So this is the little bit where we want you to do a little bit of work. So it's a bit about us getting to know you a little bit more. So if you could actually just go on to the actual chat room area, and if you can just let us know why, you know, your name, your company, and a little bit of why you possibly joined today. We'll give you a couple of minutes and we'll have a look through that. I assume you're all busily typing away. I'm not sure I can see anything on this question. Am I seeing the right screen here? Can you see any on the group chat, Phil? No? Okay, that's great. We'll move on. So if you want to just move on with the, okay. So Phil, over to you. If you want to give us a little bit of background to who we are?
Hi everybody, and thank you for having EnterprisingYou come to you today. My name's Phil Starr, so the other side of the double act with Yvonne. I'm a business coach with EnterprisingYou. My background, I've worked in business advice and business coaching for 7 years. Having previously set up my own financial services company and ran an SME for 10 years. Ran that up until the crash of 08. So experience in terms of going through change as well, and a lot of the challenges that that businesses can have. My skill sets around marketing and retail, worked in pharmaceuticals, and as a sideline, when it's not raining in sunny Rochdale where I live, I love to be out and about. So that's me. We also have Yvonne. Yvonne, if you'd like to go through what you your background as well.
Okay, yeah, I've worked in the business of business support for about 25 years, all different, from a business advisor through to a policy advisor actually on enterprise. And then 12 years ago, I got made redundant. And I thought, why don't I do what I've been advocating everybody else to do and set my own business up? So I set my own business in a sports arena because that's my other passion. And everybody, where I get the opportunity to tell people, I will do, and that's netball. So it's quite a niche area. And everybody told me, no, you won't make money doing that. But I actually developed a business, a successful business, and had 14 associates working with me, developing the business, from netball leagues to coaching, tutoring and assessing. What I did find was that, like every other small business, I experienced lockdown, and within an hour and a half, my whole investment time of 10 years had stopped. And it's only now that I'm looking to try and build that business up again. So I really can relate to the clients that we're actually working with at the moment. I also did an ILM executive mentoring qualification a few years ago, and a qualified trainer, but I love to spend lots of time playing sport, playing tennis, walking the dog, and I actually went to Tulaka Beach just last night, which is about an hour's drive from where I live. So yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Lovely. Well, thanks everyone, and thanks for updating the chat box. You're probably aware there's a 20-second lag between what we're saying and what we're seeing. So there may be occasions where there's a bit of a catch up on there. So if you go quiet for a while or for a bit slow to get back to you, that's why. So just to be aware of that. So what we're going to start off looking at is the benefits of coaching and mentoring, and what is a difference? Is there a difference? And where can it help your business? Looking at some of the businesses that are out there, attendees, it looks like a lot of you have probably got experience around the sort of coaching, tutoring, mentoring, training side in one form or another. Some of you might be doing it and not realising it, and some of it, for some of your clients, they may be benefiting from the skills that you're using. So what is coaching? What is mentoring? What is the difference? There's a lot of overlap, no doubt, but regardless of what it is, it's about making change and helping change for your business, your customers, and your business opportunity. And it's around looking at goals, developing potential, and moving forward in whatever way. As I say, there's a lot of overlap. If you look at the difference, often coaching is seen as being perhaps more shorter term, having defined goals. So it tends to be a little bit more structured. It can be more measured, and it tends to focus on specific development issues, often business related as well. It's about breaking down barriers, overcoming challenges. Obviously, COVID right now brought a lot of challenges to individual businesses and to people. And that's a great example of where people are having to look at new things, address things in a different way. Coaching can be very good to look at that. Mentoring, on the other hand, tends to be perhaps a little bit longer term. It can be an ongoing relationship where you dip in and out of a mentor, longer term, perhaps for a very, very long time indeed. It can often be more informal, and it can be picked up on as and when required. A mentor would tend to have a bit more experience. They've walked the path of a business, might be more sector specific information and knowledge as well. And they can often focus on wider issues and more long-term issues. So not necessarily the immediate resolving an issue or developing a new market perhaps, but more about longer term aspirations and things such as personal development, where the business is going, what the business is going to do for that individual. It could be a career change. And again, in lockdown, in COVID, a lot of people are having to face those kind of careers. Is my business doing what it should be for my personal goals and my family goals, for instance? So again, a mentor perhaps could help around that side. But there's a lot of overlap. There'll be times where a mentor might have a bit of a coach head on. There's a time when a coach might have to do the things that a mentor would do as well. An analogy would be in healthcare. A coach you'd often see is the generalist, the general practitioner, the GP who you're going to see, who might refer you through into a hospital consultant who's got more experience in a certain area. Well, then who always comes back to the GP as the person who sort of coordinates and pulls the strings and has the more generalist approach to the patient. And where does a coaching and mentoring and perhaps a training as well fit in? So in terms of coaching, it's often around a business needs, personal output. Mentoring, longer term development, having that extra head. Sometimes it might be looking at making a decision, and two heads are better than one. Training can come into it where there's perhaps a shorter term, immediate task that needs doing. So you might need to train up on use of Zoom to do your online promotion, for instance. Where's the focus? Coaching focus is very much around the business and general business performance. Training is, of course, around imparting knowledge. Mentoring, a lot of it's around self-reflection, self-analysis, again in a specific field. So what about the sort of relationship between mentor, coach, trainer? Who sets the agenda? If you go on a training course, you're told what you're going to do, how the agenda is going to be, what things you're going to follow. With a coach, yeah, in the early days, a coach might set the agenda, do a baseline assessment, find out where you're at as an individual. But longer term, you'd expect the person receiving the coach to start to set their agenda based on their needs, their self-analysis as well. And a coach's skill would be to draw out those kind of questions and that self-reflection. With a mentor, the client should be driving that agenda. And one of the important things is it stays within the limits of a mentor's area of expertise. Whereas a coach is the generalist and may not have specific information or experience within a sector, the mentor will. But it's often quite important the mentor remains within their area of expertise, doesn't start to maybe step outside the box as well. And that's where a good coach would coordinate with a mentor, perhaps. In terms of timescale, training, coaching, it's often around short term. So deal with the problem, get over it, move forward. Whereas again, long-term goals with a mentoring and that long-term relationship is crucial. How is it delivered? Training, obviously structured, an agenda set, defined outcomes, what you want to achieve, and perhaps with a qualification at the end. A coach, they're going to be asking you some tough questions, maybe setting you challenges outside your comfort zone, asking the questions that you perhaps been too scared to ask yourself. They promote self-analysis, sets objectives, sets goals. A mentor is often about inspiring, imparting their experience without telling what to do or directing, promoting self-reflection, making people feel empowered, and challenging ways of making people think. So you think about within the sporting arena, a coach doesn't necessarily need to be the greatest sportsman in their field to be an effective coach. There are a lot of very, very good coaches who are quite average, but they understand the kind of questions to ask. A mentor might be that experienced player who's set goals, who's won the Olympics, who's been there and has got a different skill set and can inspire and can impart without telling. So a lot of overlap, no doubt, but there are key differences in where they would fit in. So I'm going to pass over to my colleague Yvonne, who's just going to take us into the next stage of the presentation.
Okay, thanks very much, Phil. That's great. Okay, we're going to try and make this interactive where you can get on the screen, but we're aware that we can't actually get you on the screen to have this discussion. So again, to try and make it a bit interactive, we'd like you to actually again go onto the chat room. So we want you to now take time to sort of think and reflect on, have you had or do you have a coach, or have you had or do you have a mentor? And would you like to share that experiences with people in the group? So you can put it as short as long. So whether it was valuable, whether it was at a time of a career change, whether it was at a point in your life where emotionally you needed to have a mentor or a coach, we'd be quite interested to know. So if you could actually, again, so some of you have answered before, which was fantastic. We'll bring that in later on when we're talking about the Enterprising You and how we can link some of you in there. But if you're happy to share, we'll give you a couple of minutes where you can go onto the chat room and just share your own real experiences of having a coach and a mentor, because we think that's really powerful. We can sit here and talk at you, but it'd be nice for having that interaction on the QA area of the chat room. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to start populating the chat room. Thank you. Can I just say there's some brilliant comments actually coming through on the chat room, which is great. We're trying to answer some of them, but what we would like to do is actually, if everybody's okay, can we just share some of the comments? So let's just run through some of them now. Okay, brilliant. So somebody said they've engaged a coach during this pandemic period to help, and I think that's where a lot of people now have really realised what it's like and quite lonely and quite isolated under sort of COVID at the moment. So they've sort of worked and developed ideas, and quite right, I think, yes, some of those plans keep changing, being canned, starting afresh, but what you will find is, especially in a recession, research shows you that a lot of innovation potentially comes out of something like this. Not potentially a pandemic, but when there's a downturn. So that's brilliant that we're still energised to keep looking at new ideas. Somebody else says they do have a mentor at the moment. They've reached a point in the business where they really need to help to move forward, and that's where the mentor, who's most probably got that experience of generating new sales and motivation, which is key. Your mentor really can give you that motivation. We also on our programme have a wellbeing advisor, but I agree, you know, health and wellbeing at the moment and wellness is crucial because none of us have lived through this before. But no, that's great to hear you setting goals and introducing you to industry professionals, which is great. So agree, mentors do have that opportunity to open new doors for you because they have that wider network. Justin's shared mentoring and coaching in my career is journalism, mainly learning from others and those professionals who are on the job, and implementing lessons learned, and that's through life, isn't it? About learning and moving forward, which is great. And you could argue, was that a mentor or was that a coach? Nigel's mentioned about working in the bank where he had a mentor. So I was just curious to know whether that was somebody that actually worked at the bank or whether that was somebody from outside that industry. That would be quite interesting. So there's loads of people now sourcing, which is great, and sharing that. So I'm assuming everybody can read the statements actually on the question and answers, and really appreciate you sharing them. As I said, it's powerful, and I think we've all had, I've had mentors and coaches throughout my careers, and I think more so when I was running my business, I really did source quite a number of different types of mentors to help me to develop my business. So it's brilliant to hear that a lot of you are already doing that, and I think some of you might be quite interested looking at some of the statements earlier. We do have opportunities to become a mentor, but we'll talk you through that a little bit more as the presentation goes on. Phil, do you want to move that on?
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Yvonne. Yeah, so just a quick sort of summary and a statement around what business coaching is. Already we've seen a lot of the Q&A and the comments are made around the benefits that people have had from coaching and mentoring. You know, and it's about unlocking people's potential and maximising performance. The important side is helping people to learn rather than teaching. I know a lot of you have probably gone through various kind of startup support and training when you started your particular business. It might have been business training, it might have been training in a particular field. We all come a little bit complacent. We think we know it, and we get into perhaps a comfort zone. And when we move through from that initial sort of a conscious competent into an unconsciously competent, it's quite easy to get into a routine which is not reaching potential. Things might change out of our control. All of a sudden COVID comes along and we're having to address it. But even without major change, we can often find that we are to a degree coasting. So coaching can be a really powerful way to look at self-analysis, ask difficult questions, and help a person to learn through their own way rather than being taught. And Yvonne, with that?
Yeah, we just wanted to share a quote actually from Steven Spielberg, and he said it is a delicate balance of a mentor, that someone is not creating them in your own image, but it's giving them the opportunity to create themselves, and that's a really powerful statement from Stephen. Not that I know Stephen personally, but yeah, I think he's encompassed what mentoring is all about. And actually, Mustafa mentioned in the Q&A area that the difference between a coaching and a mentoring is sometimes it's paid, but mentors and the mentors that are on our programme are all volunteers. And I think that's true. They should be volunteers because they want to share their knowledge and experience, and purely altruistic reasons why they're trying to work with people to support them. So really love that statement, and I'm sure there's loads and loads of other quotes we could all find on Google. So I hope that you agree. Somebody's just made a comment. I'll just have a look at the questions here. Just come on there. Let's have a look. Oh gosh, that's a very what is a reasonable hourly rate for a coach mentor? Well, I think I've answered the mentor from the perspective of this particular programme, that it's voluntary. With regards to coaching, I think what I would say there is, if you're actually setting up a business as a coach, you need to look at your competition and what they're actually charging, because it's quite a broad range. So it's really what you value and whether how much your customers value. And I think we have to be very mindful that we're in COVID at the moment. So I can't give you a ballpark answer on that one. But thank you for the question.
It's always a difficult one, isn't it, Yvonne? And for consultants in particular, to put a value on, some areas, some businesses, it's quite easy. You're selling beans, you mark up beans to have a profit margin. As a consultant, it's important, as a business coach or whatever, that you know what your value is to a company, and if you can express that value, then you can charge a fee which is commensurate with that value. If you know that you can improve somebody's business turnover or gross value added, whatever it may well be. So ask yourself, what is your value to your customer, and yeah, put a charge on that. Not an easy one for sure.
No.
Lovely.
Phil, over to you.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so when would be the right time to actually look at a mentor or coach, and to take on their services, so to speak? It's very much around personal need. There's no right or wrong time to engage with a coach or a mentor. Often periods of change in the business landscape is a reason, and obviously the current COVID pandemic is a classic example. Businesses are having to pivot, seeking out new markets. Some people are having to overcome working in a different way. So it might be that the business hasn't changed, but how you operate day to day has changed. All of a sudden, you're not going into an office. You sat at home with a couple of kids and barking dogs and whatever, and you think, well, how do I still operate effectively? How do I motivate myself to put structure around the day? And that's been mentioned today in the Q&A. So for some people, it can be a massive change. How do people deal with not being able to engage with businesses in the same way? If we're very interpersonal, if we like that one-to-one interaction, how do we deal with that? How do we overcome challenges around concerns over the future of our business or our market? So a change in landscape can be a big reason, or a landscape which isn't changing, and you think, well, what do I do to disrupt that landscape? You know, that might be another time where you'd look at it. Having the perspective of a more experienced coach or mentor can often be the best asset. Somebody who's maybe walked that path as a mentor, or who understands the challenges you may well have as a coach, can make a big difference for sure. In terms of EnterprisingYou, the coaching staff that we have, they come from a variety of backgrounds, and one of the important things about a coach is, yeah, to a degree they can be a generalist, and it's more around asking the right kind of questions, asking those tough questions that perhaps you've been running scared of asking yourself. But we've got people from finance backgrounds like myself, marketing, recruitment, publishing, creative industries, all coming from a different background. All have been involved in running a business to one degree or another. And what is important as a coach, even if you don't understand the details of a certain area, I am awful at anything digital. I've never tweeted, don't believe in it. So for me, you know, it's not an area where I've said I'm a fantastic person with IT. But I know the kind of questions I'd need to ask somebody who is operating in that field, and I can empathise with some of the challenges that somebody would have, having been a business owner for a number of years. So yeah, a wide variety of backgrounds there. And Yvonne will tell you about the mentors.
Okay, so EnterprisingYou, we'll talk about the eligibility at the end of the slides, but the EnterprisingYou project is quite a unique project, and I've worked in the field of business support for over 25 years, and this is the first time I've seen a project that actually really encompasses the individual, and the amount of support, and it's all free, is tremendous. And what we actually can source now is a bank of mentors who are volunteers, and they come from a wide variety of backgrounds. So where there might be a potential knowledge or skills gap with the coaches, that is filled with our mentors as well. Phil, do you want to just go?
Yes, sorry, I've just flipped my mouse. I do apologise.
Okay. We were going so smoothly there. Right, well done.
I touched my mouse wheel.
No, it's all right. So as you can see from there's people from strong retail backgrounds, digital backgrounds, marketing backgrounds, as you can see, engineering. And you know what's ironic is, and I think there was on the list of delegates somebody from architect. I remember speaking to one of the volunteer mentors who is an architect. And he said, oh, I've not had any referrals, and you know, I'd love to get involved, but really, please only refer people that are architects. So I remember coming off the call thinking, oh gosh, I'm not sure I'm going to get any architects. Well, can you believe it? 2 people have now signed up to the programme who are architects. And so we've been able to match very, very quickly, and they've now got access to a pool of a wider resource of architects at different stages of their business, which is absolutely brilliant. And that's how this element of the project works. And what is so key, and as Mustafa said, they are all volunteers. Predominantly, most of them are semi-retired or retired, but there are people that are still running their businesses as well. That is people from IT, marketing, who want to give back as well, which is absolutely brilliant. So it's a brilliant part of the programme. So the benefits of a mentor, as I've just said, really, this slide just enforces it, really is. It's about access to knowledge, experience. They've been there, they've done it. And I don't think that's in an egotistical way. They actually want to make sure that people maybe don't go down the same pitfalls that they possibly did when they first started up in business. And also they can get people up to speed a lot quicker, and become more competent in their workplace or their business. Mentors also give you access, and somebody mentioned it, I think, in the Q&A earlier, about a wider network of people if they're outside your own business. So because the biggest thing with business is building up your network base, and the more people that know about your business, the more people can talk about you in a positive light. So they become, as I used to say, my unpaid sales team. They're talking about you and they're connecting where the potentials are. And it versus business coaches to work in the workplace. So it's really, again, how does that link in? So do you have more business coaches who are actually, when you're working in a larger business, which some of you are, potentially it'll be more business coaches that are working with you that are either your direct line manager. Mentors tend to be people that are either outside the business or they're working in another part of the business as well. Bill?
Yeah, thanks, Yvonne. So just to give you an idea of some of the clients who we often deal with within EnterprisingYou, they come from all over. A lot around sort of education, some businesses, sports, gyms are very popular, professional services. You can read there quite a wide range. We also deal with businesses who don't realise they're a business. So, for instance, within the gig sector, a lot within the gig economy, Uber drivers, Deliveroo, people like that, so sales, Tupperware type sort of sales businesses. They often don't realise they're also a business, and they have a lot of the challenges, perhaps more challenges that self-employed entrepreneurs have as well. And we're increasingly looking to work in that sector, which traditionally has probably missed out on a lot of coaching and business support. Well, just to give an idea of what we can do and how we do it. As an example, I've got a client who, Chris, who runs an IT support company. Sole trader, has a couple of associates to help on bigger jobs now and again. And he is a typical IT support person. He does, cyber security, virus, antivirus work, data management, data solutions, that kind of thing. When we spoke to him and we started to sort of probe deeper, he was saying most of his business was coming from smaller jobs, one-off jobs. He was targeting sort of small businesses, sole traders who just want a one-off, 50 quid here, 50 quid there. And he was meeting them at various sort of networking events and so forth. Because it was smaller jobs, he was always having to chase new business. And he was also holding him back because he felt that he couldn't invest in his business because what would happen if that market disappeared? What would happen if he couldn't get those clients that he needed to be generating literally every month from new to keep the cash flow going? One of the things that Chris has said is that he generated the sales one-to-one, and he liked that interpersonal, go and meet somebody in the networking, have a chat. A few weeks later, a few months later, they need antivirus software. 50 quid job, and that's how he liked to generate his business. Now, he could recognise that COVID was offering an opportunity. The landscape was shifting, people moving to agile working and investing in IT. But he also recognised a threat because he realised that he wasn't able to engage in businesses in the way that he normally would. And that was a concern for him because he couldn't get out to those sort of face-to-face contacts. So what did we want to do? What were the objectives that Chris devised for himself? Well, he wanted to move towards generating long-term maintenance contracts, getting away from those sort of small, more one-off jobs. And so we worked with him to identify what his target market should be. Which were the key sectors that, especially within COVID, were moving into agile working? Which were the companies where the size would warrant an ongoing maintenance contract, and which were ones where they were perhaps more vulnerable to IT failure, cyber security, cyber attack, which were the ones where it would be business critical if the IT system went down, which had a massive impact on their business, but weren't of a size where they would have perhaps an internal IT department. So where could he add value and develop that long-term relationship? Chris realised that he had to realign his marketing to match his market. So marketing, collateral, website, etc. was changed to focus on the value he could deliver to his target base that he'd identified. He was aware that some areas he needed training, so he was very good one-to-one, but he wasn't very good in terms of social media marketing and online marketing skills. So part of the self-analysis was to identify that weakness and to look at training to upskill in that area, because he knew that he just wasn't able to get out one-to-one in the way he would like to do, and he had to address that in a positive way. So went on with training and his ongoing training to do that. And what was the outcome? Well, he's been able to take on ongoing maintenance contracts, and he's got other ones in negotiation, which are looking very, very positive. The important thing is that because he's got these regular contracts coming through, it's helped his confidence in terms of investing. He knows now he can rely on a certain amount of money to come in from these contracts that he can then service. As a result of that new confidence and the improved cash flow, he's now actually looking to recruit a member of staff who'll cover service calls and inbound calls, which he was finding that he was getting more and more tight in terms of time to service. But in the past, he couldn't justify recruiting a member of staff just in case cash flow wasn't there, if he couldn't generate enough sales. He wasn't confident enough to do it. So by addressing his market, looking at the challenge of a shifting marketplace, looking at suitable training, it's had a very positive outcome for Chris. It's helped to grow his business. It's helped his personal confidence in terms of his finances. It's helped him to look to recruit a member of staff as well. So a very positive experience, and one that will hopefully be repeated. So that's Chris. I'll pass back over to Yvonne, who will tell you about a case study that she has.
Okay, I'm conscious of time. We did say 45 minutes, but we are aware that it could go up to an hour. Normally a lot of them finish, so I hope we've not talked at you too much. Just a brief case study from a company called French Toast. Nicola, a lot of our clients sometimes are sort of thinking about setting up the business, and they have a full-time job and they're trying to set up their business as well, which is what Nicola was doing. She's got a little language school. But her biggest challenge was when to make that jump from full-time employment to running a business. And at the time, COVID suddenly appeared as well, so that put constraints. At the time also, I was able to match her up with what I call Helen, a serial entrepreneur. She'd done an awful lot of different types of small businesses over the years and had recently retired and wanted to give back. I, if you like, matched them up, and this was Nicola's response to her Helen, the mentor, her new mentor. So if you just want to flick, Phil, to the next slide. This is, I'll just leave you to read that. This is what Helen said. Quite powerful, really. Nicola, sorry. So as you can see, it worked out really powerful for Nicola, and the relationship's gone from strength to strength. And as somebody mentioned in the QA before, when I actually speak to the mentees looking for a mentor, the key thing I'm looking for is that personality, that emotional connection, not just their skill and their sector background. It's crucial that the mentor and the mentee really, really click and develop that trust and understanding. And I was aware of Helen's background and was able to, and also what the concerns Nicola had. And so it was great to get this quote from Nicola. So we've got loads more, but we just wanted to share those two particular case studies with you. Phil.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Yvonne. So just to summarise the benefits of having a coach or mentor, and then I'll just summarise about Enterprising You before the hour's up. The key thing, they ask you the right questions about your business. Often searching questions, often difficult questions, but to pull out your needs. They'll challenge you. They'll challenge your assumptions on what you're doing, where are you going, why are you doing it. It's important that the focus is on your goals, not their goals, but your goals. What do you want to achieve? And again, pull that information out. They'll help you to create solutions from within. They won't tell you what to do. They'll work with you for you to resolve those questions. They'll link up with training, advice, mentoring, pull people together where needed, pull resources where needed, maybe open a few doors for you as well. And it'll help you to review your goals and your achievement. Have you done what you set out to do? If not, why not? And what do you need to amend to either pivot or to readdress those goals in the future? So that's the benefit of coaching and mentoring. Just to sort of finish off, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today. Enterprising You is our business. Who are we? Well, we're funded by the Department of Education. We were commissioned by Greater Manchester Combined Authority to offer an exciting, innovative new pilot for the area to offer help to the self-employed. I've worked in business advice for a number of years, and it's no doubt this is the most wide-reaching and supportive programme that I've ever come across. It's identified a lot of challenges to entrepreneurs, and it looks to address. It's available only to Greater Manchester residents, so it's where you live as opposed to where your business is based as well. So that's one thing to be aware. So what do we offer? We offer one-to-one business coaching. We offer access to a digital platform where you can obtain resources around training and development, careers advice. We have mentoring, obviously, as Yvonne has mentioned. We have some specialist intervention, finance specialists, for instance. A big challenge for self-employed people could be access to universal credit, personal debt, personal financial challenges. So again, we have somebody who can deal there. And we also have access to health and well-being as well. Again, being a self-employed sole trader, it can be a lonely job. You don't necessarily have the access to the health and well-being support that you might have if you worked for a larger company, and it can be a lonely experience. So again, there's a wraparound support around there. Now, for some people, self-employment it might not be the only option in their future. Particularly now, there's a lot of challenges in the market. So for some businesses, business owners might want a career change, and again, that can be daunting as well. So advice, guidance around changing a career direction is there. We can help in terms of things like recruitment, taking on apprentices, employment law, and that aspect of the business as well. And the key thing is access to training and development. So we have a wide range of training and development providers who've been commissioned to offer support around things like social media, bookkeeping, how to get the best from PR, even things like if you run a gym, how to work with vulnerable people, beauty, advanced courses in beauty as well. So quite a wide range. We've got about 40 different providers. We will in time have co-working spaces as well. Obviously with COVID, that's had to go slightly on hold at the minute, but under normal circumstances, we'll have access to co-working spaces as well, and to provide that free of charge. So everything we do on there is fully funded, so paid for by the Combined Authority, who've accessed the fund from the Department of Further Education. So there's no payments at all for the person who is receiving the benefit. In terms of eligibility, it's not sector specific. So it doesn't matter whether you are business to business, business to retail, doesn't matter. As long as you're not exporting weapons and nuclear bombs and crazy things like that, we can help. We're looking to help about 2,500 people who are residents of Greater Manchester. You must be self-employed. Now that could be a limited company, it could be self-employed, sole trader with a UTR number. But you do need to be self-employed or a gig worker, again with a UTR. You need to have been trading for about 6 months as well, or more. So there's no upper limit. You can be trading for 20-25 years, but you certainly need to be at least 6 months in. And the majority of your income should be derived from self-employment. So we wouldn't support somebody who has got a full-time job that's they're maintaining and does a sideline 1 day a week selling at a market stall or cupcakes or whatever. It's where your business is self-employed. In terms of earnings, it's for people who are on lower incomes, so earning below £27,000 a year. There is a bit of discretion if you're just above, so particularly if you're on, say, disability benefits that are taking you over, or a small part-time job, then yes, we could look at that. So there's a bit of leeway, but largely we're looking at people where their total income, so that would be earnings from self-employment after paying expenses, etc. So net income and any part-time work and benefits don't exceed 27,000.
Phil,
yes.
Sorry. Yeah, just to let you know, you've only got 2 minutes left. A minute.
Fantastic. So yeah, vulnerable groups, as you can see there, and gig economy as well. I know there's nobody on from the gig economy by the looks of things. So thank you for again in touch today, and for listening to myself and Yvonne. You can find out more about Enterprising You via our website, and the numbers there. These slides obviously will be shared as well. Thank you for your interaction. A lot of the questions have been very good, and a lot of the feedback, and certainly more than happy to follow up with specific questions. And if any of you want to find out more about Enterprising You, how we can help, or indeed if you're looking to maybe be a mentor yourself, and to contact Yvonne to see about giving back as well. So very much around that. So thank you very much for today, and thank you Yvonne as well, and thank you Catherine. I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope you enjoy a nice long bank holiday weekend as well. So thank you very much for listening, and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.